Hello, great people of the Queen of Manix. It's your Prime Minister, Austin Elsler. Alright, let's begin on the new month of the year of 2022, the month of October, the spooky month. My favorite month, personally. Alrighty, let's begin with whatever House bills we got. Man, do we have a lot today. There has been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. There has been 8 bills that were proposed in the month of October of 2022. So we're gonna see how much we're gonna get through today. All right, let's see what we got here. We have House Bill 17. Why should we pass this? Let's see, an act regarding the Prime Minister. Oh, it's about me. An act regarding the Prime Minister to be able to call for special session. Sponsor, me. The bill reads, Article 1. The call for special session is given to the Prime Minister. Section 1. The Prime Minister has the authority to call for a special session in the unicameral. Section 2. The reason for the call for a special session must be about one topic that the unicameral shall make laws on. Yes. Article 2. One topic only. Section 1. The Prime Minister must have only one specific topic in mind when calling for a special session of the unicameral. Section 2. They cannot make laws or have discussions about any other topic than the topic that the Prime Minister called a special session for. That sounds simple and fair enough. And what's the point of it? Just in case there's things we need to get done, or if not just to get done, there's things that needs to be fixed immediately before we continue on with our day-to-day functions, which there was a lot of, and technically still is. So I'm going to sign this bill now into law. And here we go. House Bill 17 is officially law now. Yay. Put this over here. Alrighty. Next bill. House Bill 18. An act declaring classifications for violations of a constitutional amendment, regulation, and or statute by individuals in the Kingdom of Nix. This bill reads, the sponsor is me. This bill reads, Article 1, violating constitutional amendments and or the articles regulating government. Section 1, depending on the constitutional amendment that had been violated, it should be declared as one of the following felony classes. Subsection 1. Class D felony is the lowest classification of a conviction which will result in a punishment defined by statute and authorized by the judicial system as long as the fines do not exceed $20 unless there are multiple counts on the person being convicted of such. Now, when we put the words $20, it does mean 20 US dollars, not Nixie pounds. That might change in the future. Subsection 2. Class C felony is the second lowest classification of a conviction which will result to a punishment defined by statute and authorized by the judicial system as long as the fines do not exceed $20 unless there are multiple counts on the person being convicted of such, and the convicted will have their right to vote in the national polls and elections suspended for 1 year. No imprisonment. It's just your right to vote in national polls, which is not an inherent right, mind you. There's no such thing as an actual right to vote. There isn't. It's a subservient right. What does that mean? That means you voting is technically already a right. But it's a right, it's a part of a right that already exists with you. You vote with your expression. Because when you vote, you're expressing who you want to vote for to be elected or what you want done. Voting is a form of an expression. Therefore, it's already a right. But there is no right to put a paper on a ballot or in a ballot. There's no right to put a paper in a ballot. Or to click yes or no on a ballot. Or to vote for someone on a ballot. There is no right for that. But you have the right to do that. There's no right for that, but you have the right to do that. Okay? you have an inherent natural right to express yourself. But voting is not a right. It's not inherent. Because what if you're not in a democratic country with no votes? Then you can't vote. But you have the right to express yourself. If you can't express yourself through voting, you express yourself through speech, right? So, continuing on. Subsection 3, Class B felony. It's the second highest classification of a conviction which will result to a punishment defined by statute and authorized by the judicial system, as long as the fines do not exceed $20, unless there are multiple counts on the person being convicted of such, and the convicted shall have the right to vote in local and nationwide polls and elections, be counted null and void for 2 years. Subsection 4, Class A felony, is the highest classification of a conviction would result to a punishment defined by statute and authorized by the judicial system, as long as the fines do not exceed $20, unless there are multiple counts on the person being convicted of such, and the convicted shall have their citizenship suspended for 2 years. Article 2, Violating Regulations. Section 1, depending on the constitutional amendment that had been violated, it should be declared as one of the following misdemeanors. Oh, hold on a minute. That was a typo. That is meant to say Nixie Administrative Regulation. That's okay. I'm going to sign it into law anyway. And I'm sure the typo has already been fixed. And there's nothing to worry about. So we're all good. We all know what it means. So I'll fix that later. Maybe I'll scratch it off and write it there. Subsection 1, Class A misdemeanor is the highest misdemeanor given to an individual or business convicted of violating an act of regulation, which will result to a punishment by statute and authorized by the judicial system, as long as the fines do not exceed $20. Unless there are multiple counts on the person or business being convicted of such, businesses shall be mandated under statute to follow guidelines provided by the unicameral and enforced by the Prime Minister for 3 years, and individuals shall serve 1 year of incarceration in a jail facility where the crime was committed. Now remember, this is a Class A misdemeanor, so obviously even though the crime might be a little petty, but depending on the level of the crime and the multiple counts of it, you will get a Class A misdemeanor. A little bit of a misunderstood typo there, but okay. Subsection 2, Class D misdemeanor is the lowest misdemeanor given to an individual or business convicted of violating an act of regulation, which will result to a punishment by statute and authorized by the judicial system, as long as the fines do not exceed $20, unless there are multiple counts on the person or business being convicted of such. There's a typo there. Businesses shall be mandated under statute to follow guidelines provided by the unicameral enforced by the Prime Minister for 1 year, and individuals shall serve only 3 days in a jail facility where the crime was committed. Article 3, Violating statutes passed as general laws. Section 1, General law statutes shall be defined and classified as either misdemeanors or felonies by the unicameral decrementics through appropriate legislation. Meaning we haven't gotten that far yet. That's what it basically means on statutes. So that means each statute will have their own levels of punishment. So, alright. I'm going to go ahead and sign this bill into law. House Bill 18, sign into law. There we go. Next bill. House Bill 21. Now, am I correct here? Hold on. Where's October? Oh, yeah, no, I'm right. Okay, I just want to make sure. For some reason, I keep thinking him off. House Bill 21. Sponsored by me, of course. Very simple, only 2 things in there. Title: NRS 4.001 shall establish a statute stating that the monarch shall preside over the Judiciary Committee created under the Second Royal Decree. This bill reads, Section 1. The monarch shall preside over the Judiciary Committee during judicial subpoenas filed by the unicameral. Section 2. During the hearing, the Queen shall preside and shall make the rules for the hearings. That's all. Sign it to law, of course. That's one of the most smallest laws on the planet. And here is House Bill 21. Now, I might have forgotten to show you House Bill 18, but you get the gist of it. Not gonna worry about it too much. There we go. Alright, next. Let's see here. House Bill 22. This act will amend NRS Chapter 5. And for those who do not know what NRS means, I will gladly remind you. NRS stands for Next Revised Statutes, which is our laws. Sponsored by me. This bill reads, Section 1, amend NRS Chapter 5 with NRS 5.001 to 5.003 to create laws and punishments for theft. Subsection 1. 5.001, theft shall be classified as a misdemeanor. Subsection 2. 5.002, depending on what was stolen, will be determined by the judicial system on what class of misdemeanor the convicted will be sentenced with. Subsection 3, 5.003, multiple counts of the theft determined by the judicial system shall be classified as a felony. Section 2, amend NRS Chapter 5 with NRS 5.010 to 5.011 for crimes and punishments on murder. Subsection 1, 5.010, murder or homicide shall be classified as a Class A felony. Subsection 2, 5.011, the judicial system of both NICS and the United States, due to obvious reasons, shall make appropriate judgments on this statute. Section 3, amend NRS Chapter 5 with NRS 5.020 and 5.022 to create laws and punishments for fraud. Subsection 1, 5.020, fraud shall be classified as both misdemeanor and felony depending on what was fraudulent. Subsection 2, 5.021, the judicial system by statute shall determine the sentencing under the statute. Subsection 3, 5.022, multiple counts of fraud shall result to a Class A felony depending on many fraudulent claims were evident. Depending on how many fraudulent claims were evident. A lot of typos, but it's okay. I have officially signed House Bill 22 into law. Here you go. Now to put it over here. Alright. Oh, we got a big one. Yes, we do. We got a big one. I'm just going to double check, make sure I'm not going, because the whole stack of papers in front of me, so I'm just making sure I am still in the month of October. I am still in the month of October. Okay. Okay. House Bill 24, an act relating to the remapping of the 9 federal counties of the Queen of NICS. Sponsor me. This bill reads, this bill will remap all 9 federal counties into areas within the Louisville metropolitan area, which includes Jefferson County, Kentucky, Bullitt County, Kentucky, Shelby County, Kentucky, Spencer County, Kentucky, Oldham County, Kentucky, Nelson County, Kentucky, Hardin County, Kentucky, Meade County, Kentucky, Clark County, Indiana, Floyd County, Indiana, Harrison County, Indiana, City of Linden, Kentucky, City of Norwood, Kentucky, City of Belmead, Kentucky. Part 2. Added in locations for the new federal counties that are apart from the Louisville metropolitan area. Rural Municipality of Moosomin, number 121, Saskatchewan, Canada. Grayson County, Texas. Johnson County, Indiana. Tillamook County, Oregon. Carteret County, North Carolina. Owen County, Kentucky. Richmond Independent City, Virginia. Allen County, Kentucky. Part 3. The newly proposed federal county lands. Lavender Federal County shall be composed of Oldham County, Henry County, Owen County, and the independent city of Richmond. Iroquois Federal County shall be composed of Jefferson County except for land given to Linden Federal County, Ballou Federal County, and Talbot Federal County. Floyd Federal County shall be composed of Shelby County, Spencer County, Carteret County, and Allen County. Ballou Federal County shall be composed of a lot of 553.51 acres within Jefferson County. Linden Federal County shall be composed of the cities of Linden, Norwood, and Belmead. Montega Federal County shall be composed of Meade County, Hardin County, Bullitt County, and Grayson County. Harper Federal County shall be composed of Clark County, Floyd County, and Johnson County. Talbot Federal County shall be composed of a 1,836-acre lot within Jefferson County. Federal County number 9 shall be composed of Harrison County, Tillamook County, and rural municipality of Moosomin number 121. Part 4. The U.S. and Canadian locations listed shall be labeled as census-designated places for the purpose of keeping track on our population comparing to non-citizen populations. The following census-designated places are Lavender County, Oldham, Henry. Let's see, go to the next page. Richmond. And that's all for Lavender County. For Iroquois County, just Jefferson. For Floyd Federal County, Shelby, Spencer, Carteret, Allen. Ballou Federal County, Pleasure Ridge Park. Linden Federal County, Linden, Norwood, Belmead. Montega Federal County, Grayson, Bullitt, Hardin. Meade, it looked like a C for a minute, Meade. Harper Federal County, Clark, Floyd, Johnson. Talbot Federal County, Valley Station. Federal County number 9, Moosomin, Tillamook, and Harrison. Part 5. This bill will repeal NRS 6.001A and replace it with 6.001H. It's a big bill. And at the time, it was important. It had its purpose. Alright, I will obviously sign that bill into law because it did pass. Alrighty. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is House Bill 24. Another big bill, House Bill 25. An act sponsored by me, an act relating to the establishment of elected constables. This bill reads, warning, very long bill. This bill, if passed, shall be labeled as part of Title I, Chapter 2, Executive Branch. This bill and its provisions shall be labeled from NRS 2.006 down to whichever seems appropriate to the NRS numerical appropriation. Part 3. 4 constable districts shall be drawn and established in each federal county on the approval of the local federal county government or its residents. Part 4. There shall be 2 constables per constable district. 5. Constables shall be elected by the residents within their respective constable districts. 6. Constables shall have a 2-year term. 7. Constables shall have the authority to arrest, execute warrants, subpoenas, court summons required to execute any court process given to them and enforce laws in accordance with NICS revised statutes and or NICS administrative regulations. 8. Constables can be permitted to carry firearms in the performance of their duties. 9. Constables who take office prior to September 21st, 2023 also have full law enforcement powers, including power of arrest. 10. On the approval of the local federal county government, they may equip their vehicles with osculating blue lights. 11. All constables must decide how to be paid in either salary or minimum wage in 60 pounds on the approval of the local federal county government or its residents. Constables can also be paid through service fees, depending on the federal county ordinances or any future NICS revised statutes. Voluntary taxation contracts at a federal county level shall be an option for the federal county government or residents to decide by popular vote to pay for their elected constables. 12. The elected constables must only patrol their respective districts unless the situation calls for them to patrol or give support in another district. 13. Local federal county governments can give the unicameral the decision to draw and establish constable districts. For them and the district lines proposed by the unicameral must be approved by the residents of the federal county. 14. If this bill passes, the federal county voters get to decide whether to approve or disapprove the establishment of constable districts within their federal county. 15. If no person runs for candidacy of constable within the 3-month period of candidacy admission, the constable's election shall not be commenced on election day until the next candidacy admission cycle. 16. Candidates for constable must submit their candidacy to their local, federal, county government or the unicameral from June 1st to August 31st of the election year. 17. Constable district residents will cast their votes starting from September 1st to September 20th of the election year. 18. The voting methods shall depend on the number of candidates for constable. If there are 1 to 2 candidates, the voting method shall be the winner-take-all method, where a candidate must reach 50% or more of the total voters in the district, or if the candidate has more voters than the other. If there are 3 or more candidates, then the ranked choice voting method shall be used for the election process, where one candidate must reach exactly 51% or higher to be the winner of the election. 19. Constable election day shall be on September 21st. 20. Under approval by popular vote of the federal county residents, they can decide if they wish to have the unicameral give their constables certain powers and authorities instead. 21. Constables shall be required to be trained for the use of firearms and must show proof of certification that they have been trained using firearms. 22. Constable salaries shall be based on the number of voters in their constable district. 23. Constable candidates in elections shall be nonpartisan. 24. Constables must be sworn under oath into office. 25. When a court is in session, one constable is required to be the president, and Her Majesty's Court decides which constable is appointed to the court session. 26. Constables are required to read and understand civil and criminal laws of the Queen of Nix, including the Constitution, and must uphold and enforce these laws. 27. If a federal county by popular vote decides to not have constable districts, the town cities within can decide by popular vote amongst the residents within city limits to have their own constables. Page number 2. Oh, this is interesting. Huh. One second, ladies and gentlemen. Hmm. 28. If a city within a federal county with no constable districts decided by popular vote to have constables, they are only allowed to elect 2 constables within their city limits. 29. The candidates for constables within city limits in a no constable federal county must be a resident of the city for at least 2 years before becoming candidate to be elected. Some of the bill did not get printed out properly, so I actually have no idea what the rest of it says, but what I'm going to do is click on this. Exactly what it says. Then I'll move on to the third page, which starts from, by the looks of it, starts from 33. So that means 30, 31, and 32. Okay. 30. Constable elections apply to citywide only constables. 31. Elected constables must provide their own vehicles, firearms, uniforms, or for official purposes unless provided by federal county ordinance. 32. Candidates for constables must be a minimum of 19 years of age. And I'm actually struggling to read 33, so I'll just go ahead and read on here. If an elected constable is out of office due to, but not limited to, death, incapacitation, resignation, or impeachment, before their term expires, a special election shall be commenced 1 month after the position is vacant. There we go. Got that out of the way. There we go. There's my Twitch. Alright. 34. Constables can only be impeached by the respective district voters in a popular vote. 35. Once an elected constable has been impeached, he or she can no longer become constable anywhere in Nix. 36. Constables shall have the authority to collect taxes from taxpayers that have signed a voluntary taxation contract. 37. During events where the Prime Minister or the royal family is located, 1 constable from each federal county appointed by the Prime Minister must escort him, her, or they until he, she, or they has returned to his, her, or their residence after the events. And mind you, the him, her, they thing, those are not for gender neutrality thing. That just means it's either going to be a he, it's either going to be a she, or there's multiple people. That's basically what it means. 38. The final part. The constables have the authority to escort the Prime Minister or the royal family off the premises and back to their homes if they deem the event or events to be dangerously unsafe. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is House Bill 25. A 3-page long bill. And we're still not done yet. But, obviously, I have signed this bill into law because we still have our constables. They're just very different. But I'm not going to spoil that. I have officially signed House Bill 25 into law. Woohoo. Alrighty. House Joint Resolution 5. An act to repeal the 11th Amendment of the Constitution and replace it with a new amendment. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the political party amendment that I mentioned before. There are 2 sponsors. Of course, there is me, but the Queen is also the sponsor. So obviously me and her had a talk about it. This bill reads, Part 1, the 11th Amendment of the Constitution, which states, individuals have the right to form political parties, but all political parties are prohibited to campaign in all government elections. Private voluntary groups are free to establish their own rules for nomination procedures, primaries, and conventions. Political parties and private volunteer groups are free to finance election campaigns. All individuals that are candidates for public offices shall not be denied ballot access. The voters have the right to consider all legitimate alternatives. This amendment shall be repealed and replaced with a new 13th Amendment. Part 2. The newly proposed 13th Amendment states, Amendment 13, Section 1. The government shall not restrict or prohibit partisan and nonpartisan candidates to run for government office, clearly. Section 2. The government shall not give or nor fund with taxpayers' money to any political party or any candidate for any reason. Section 3. The government shall not restrict or prohibit political parties or candidates from gaining ballot access. Done. So, obviously, now this was passed by the people, or it wouldn't be on my desk. So I'm officially signing it into law. Obviously, I agree with this constitutional amendment. So, since it passed, it passed. The 13th Amendment has officially passed. And the 11th Amendment has been officially repealed. Let's see how many bills we got. We have one more, I believe. Yes, we do. We have one more in the month of October. Alrighty. Final bill of the month. House Joint Resolution 6. Sponsored by me and Her Majesty the Queen. An act relating an act relating the use, there's a typo in the title. An act relating the use of multiple currencies in the Queen of Nix. This bill reads, the list of currencies that we plan to use are the Bahamian dollar, the Belize dollar, Eastern Caribbean dollar, Singapore dollar, Swiss franc, the Cayman dollar, gold backs, silver backs, United States dollar, copper backs, and aluminum backs. Now, in case y'all are wondering, yes, we do use the Nixie pound as the official currency, but this is to add more currencies to our legal tender. Article 1. Who gets to decide what currency to use? Part 1. People and businesses can voluntarily decide what currency to use. Part 2. Businesses can decide which currency they will allow for the customers to use. They cannot allow or use more than one type of listed currency. What Part 2 basically means is that if there's a McDonald's down the street across from a Burger King, McDonald's decides to use the Bahamian dollar, and Burger King decides to use the Cayman dollar. Okay, well, for you to get Burger King, you have to use the Cayman dollar. But, as mandated by law, assumably, these businesses will have a currency exchanging machine, so you can exchange one type of dollar to another. Just make it easier, and only that, just in case you need it for other places other than that Burger King or that McDonald's. They'll have a currency exchange machine, and then all you have to do is put it in there, get it exchanged, go buy what you got, and leave. Simple as that. So that's basically it. And it did pass, so I'm signing it into law. And there you have it. House Joint Resolution 6 has been passed into law. And now we have officially 12 legal tender currencies. Alrighty. Well, my fellow Nixie citizens, that is all for the month of October in the year 2022. I will see you in the next month coming up, and we'll see how many bills we have left to do in the next month. Y'all have a wonderful evening. Good day.